the calming the mind, working with the mind, the meditation, whatever you have, right? So uh, those kind of commonsensical things that we do really go a long way for people to be healthy and resilient. Even at the time of COVID, we saw many healthy people that do not have any underlying diseases were able to fight the onslaught of the virus, and that is well known. But the surprising thing is, many people are really scared about getting that infection, and they created a immune reaction that was not good for them. Right? That is something. How people are wired, and then now communications are so much, so people are giving this news that if you get this virus you're going to die. And we saw that very tellingly in some of the other countries where they were always scared about the infections, and they initiated a very violent metabolic reaction that was not really good for them in the long run, right? So we were quite amazed about how much they were really affected by the infection because of the psychological state. Some people thought the moment you get this virus, you're going to be killed. And that really initiated a violent reaction in them. So having information, having understanding, and making sure that it's not causing panic among the people is important too. And also quickly education efforts and really being calm will help a lot. Okay, so the educated people and people who have good information, they were able to do that, but not the other people, you know. So that was the case with that. So what I am saying is the inner resilience can be measured by several things. First of all, your energy and your mood, and your sense of well-being, and not having any symptoms like a fever, okay, cough, or a sore throat, and all that. Okay, in other diseases, other symptoms. But also when we do the metabolic parameters of pulse and blood pressure and all that, but also blood tests and also some markers in the blood. Based on that, we can gauge how is your metabolic state is. And now they have become much more sophisticated, so we can have small blood sample and can do a lot of tests together and tell you how your metabolic state is, how your immune state is in terms of antibodies and all that, and how is your hormonal state is, all that, you know. That kind of proactive looking at your health and metabolic state, all those things are going to be standard. You can ask for it now, and also it depends upon your insurance company. But as you go along, the personalized medicine is going to get you into that kind of proactive wellness, whereby you really know that you are healthy and you are vibrant and you have this inner resilience for external attacks. It could be infection, it could be some metabolic problem, or it could be allergy problem, or any number of things, right? Or from your own body, you can have, you know, malfunction of the cell growth, which is a cancer, and allergies to your own body or to immune diseases, and really interaction with so many medications, chronic medical conditions, and all that. What I'm trying to get people is be away from all that by simply, in normal terms, resistant. But the resilience is much more loaded term, right? So that's what I'm trying to. So know your circadian rhythms, your natural body rhythms, and live accordingly. That's a big, big deal. That means you don't want to sacrifice your sleep, You don't want to sacrifice your meals when you are really hungry, and you don't want to sacrifice balanced meals. All that, that really leads to daily resilience. So you can start the day with a good breakfast, and eat healthy at lunch. If the workplace is there, you can carry food too if you want to, and also don't eat many snacks in between, maybe healthier snacks. And when you come home, try to eat at home most of the time. That's one of the biggest problems we encounter as physicians for the patients is they go out and eat, and then they don't know what they are eating. Sometimes they just eat because it's tasty. Even with the repeated education, they tend to miss that warning that we want to be eating only certain types and we don't want to eat everything, right? But a lot of it has to do with your taste mechanism, how you are used to certain kind of taste, and then unless you eat that tasteful thing, you feel like, hi Jacob.
Hello, Dr. Rao. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I feel like I'm evolving day by day. I feel like it's a natural human experience, although
Yeah.
sometimes maybe we feel like we might be devolving. I
Yeah.
have also felt those days, but I I I feel better and better and
Yeah.
smarter and wiser and more capable, and it's a nice feeling. And
Very good.
I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but I feel it.
No, there is something about if you have some cobwebs, like you don't have clarity about certain things, the moment you learn the truth of it and it makes kind of unfolding of your cobwebs, you feel good actually. That's why learning something all the time is very important. I will tell you a story about this on Socrates, the great man. He was sentenced to death, right? And he was going to die in a couple of hours, And then he was waiting for him to take him from the jail cell, and he looks over the window and he sees a man way above there playing an instrument, and it was so beautiful. It moves Socrates, the music, right? And then in another hour to go, he asks the jailer to, can I talk to that man? Because it's the last wish. They said, okay, whatever wants, let him come. So that musician comes, and as Socrates talking to him, he says, will you teach me how to play that music now? And all these people are aghast because he's going to die in an hour. Now he wants to learn a new instrument, you know. So they asked him why. He said, every minute, you see, we're going to die anyway, all of us, at some time or other. But every minute we live, we got to learn and really enjoy that knowledge. And then out of the knowledge, the life comes. This is a big deal too in yoga. That's called Gnana Yoga, knowledge yoga. That means you use your own mind, turn on it, and learn from it. So it's a wonderful thing. So the more you know, Jacob, the more we come to clarity, the better we feel. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you are feeling. The more enlightened you are, the more cobwebs are going. We are all like that, I think. If we say I know, then we would have that opening. But if we say I don't know, let me know, then everything opens up. And that's one of the important resilient factors because, like they say, stagnant water, becomes muddy, whereas the flowing water will be fresh. And that's the same thing with our knowledge need and also how we gain knowledge, how we keep it open. There is, by the way, scientific evidence now. What it is when we measure learning and when we look at the neurons at their level, they fire up, they form more dendritic connections when they are exposed to new information. See, so it becomes smarter by posing a question or really opening yourself to the new material to be absorbed. That means it is challenging what you have, and then it is giving you new information. The moment you appreciate the new information and all that, these neurons form more dendritic connections at the periphery, and that's how new cortex is formed.
Dr. Rao, you angel, you sir. I made two notes, okay?
Yeah.
The first one was the unfolding.
Yeah.
Okay, and I wrote that into the chat, and this is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If we, and maybe there's not a a singular term for this, but let's perhaps call it the unfolding.
Yeah.
Right? When we allow ourselves to be introduced to new stimuli,
Yeah.
and we just take it with a beginner's mind. So the unfolding.
Exactly. Yeah, that beginner's mind is very important too, Jacob, because as stimulus comes to you, you form an impression and all that, you got to let it go. Otherwise, that becomes a cumulative character. And then that will make you next time to go through the new one with the old accumulation. That we don't want. We want something beginner's mind. That means you have dumped what you have learned already, and then you are going there. That's a very key. I'll give a simple example. Suppose you are walking, you took a walk alone, right? And then you came to a big meadow where there are no trees. There's only one tree there. And then you saw the tree, and it's beautiful in its color, in its appearance, and all that, right? And the moment you appreciate, oh yeah, this is really very nice, and then you enjoy the scene. But when you're walking out, you better forget about it in a sense. If you carry that as a memory, next time when you come, you want to see through that memory, then you are not seeing what it is there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
At first, I interpreted that as a longing perception.
Yeah.
Because we enjoyed it and then we have to leave it, but we long for the thing that we enjoyed. But then I really like the stage two. If we ever return to that stimulus, we already have a precognition for that experience, and that's fascinating too.
Yeah,
and
no, that's important because
a lady brought up. We were talking about a TV show today, and she said, I really enjoyed it, but because I've seen this one actor in roles previous that I didn't like, it didn't help her to enable her enjoyment for the show, and I found that very fascinating.
This is very important in relationship, Jacob. Try it. Suppose I see my wife every day. If I carry an impression of what she was so far, the pattern, suppose she was angry with me yesterday, and I am meeting her today for the first time, and then I see
my father, Dr. Rao, exactly.
Yeah.
Please continue. Please continue.
So if I see her, then if I bring the image from yesterday, maybe she is not angry today. She is not going to alert anything like that. But if I continue that image, then I'm not meeting her as she is now. See, that's why dump all our impressions. That word you said, beginner's mind, is cultivate that for each thing, and then it will be wonderful. See, Krishnamurti taught me this. He said, what is sacred. What is here now that I can see only with a beginner's mind is sacred. Not what was there coming into this or what is going to be later, but how it is now. That what is very important in any situation, anyway. To learn something new, important. To appreciate that is important. To be completely with the present and not to carry it forward. Actually, this is the one is very responsible for decrease in the dementia in people, because the materials, the chemicals do accumulate, and they will be dumped off. Otherwise, they will be accumulating. That's why people who study a lot and read a lot, they will be more alert. And like a Supreme Court justices, this was a big deal. They examined that. How come these people are above 70, 80, and they are so sharp than the people who are coming to ask them questions in Supreme Court? Then they found out that because they have so many hours really available for them to study, they do study voluminous material. They will be studying all the time. That's why their minds are very sharp, you know. But whereas somebody who retires and who doesn't want to do anything, just want to go vacations, just want to watch TV and puts their mind to sleep, they do go into dementia. And this is very fascinating because um, I myself, I'm more sharp now than I was 5, 10 years ago. Personally, I know that. I feel that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's why you always want to come to that beginner's mind, see everything as though you don't know anything, and you are pursuing it. Then you really be stimulated, and you will be forming new brain. Actually, in neuroplasticity, Jacob, we kind of use it for the benefit of the patient. Obviously, if the mind is not very healthy, the rest of the organs do not work that well. So we place a lot of premium on keeping the mind sharp and aware. Okay, even if you give $1 million, if I'm not aware, what good is that for me? No. So that's why mind awareness is very important. This accumulative nature of information and not going forward for the new is the problem. Experience, then dump it, then go out experience again as though it is completely new, and that makes a lot of difference. you know
That reminds me of a friend that I have.
Hmm.
She has, I think it's called cystic fibrosis.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a mental ailment due to traumatic experiences from her childhood, and she just feels so down on herself that it's difficult for her to engage in any single day-to-day action. It causes a lot of pain for her. But it, but it is known that it's like her mentality that is holding her physical body back. But of course, if we do that for long enough, then the body does weaken. It reminds me of the phrase that you said: stagnant water becomes muddy, moving water remains fresh.
Exactly.
And okay, Dr. Rao, I have a question for you, good sir. Are you in America? Are you in India? When are we gonna hang out? Because
I'm always in America. Actually, I come from India, but after that, I went there every year when my mom was alive. But then she moved here with us, and she passed away here. But then after that, I'm not going that often. Even the couple of brothers and sisters are there. I talk to them on the phone every day. But I'm in Iowa right now. Probably I'll move from
You're
this.
in Iowa. Okay, if I visit Iowa, Dr. Rao, may we grab lunch or dinner?
Sure, no problem. You can come to our house and we will treat you. No problem. So.
Okay. And if you ever visit Toronto or Texas, please, I have activities for you.
Yeah, I do.
I think you may enjoy them. Yes.
I do come for the conferences, Jacob. But lately I have not planned anything. But because most of the conferences are happening online these days, we're not going as frequently in person as we used to. I was in.
Well, I have a conference in January called the Future of Education and Technology Conference in Miami on January 21st to January 26th, and this is the biggest booth that we've ever had as a company, and we have like a whole wall.
Wow.
And it's very nice, and we're unveiling 2 new products.
I can give you my piece of my mind on education and the future of technology. Because
I would love that. Yes.
Yeah. You see, what I was talking about is learning new material, exposing the mind to it. Right? Well, that's what we're talking about. So, in education, this is very important because what we do with the kids is we force them to be such a way. Right? And we say, okay, we have curriculum, you manage this. But if you open up the kid's mind like this, expose him to discover things by himself, he becomes much smarter. So for myself, Jacob, what happened was my dean in the high school, he made us think for ourselves. So how he did was, the rest of all the other teachers are going by the curriculum and teaching the lessons, and then they're going like they teach and they tell the intricacies. and we kind of observe and go. But this man said, this is the lesson we're going to talk about it tomorrow. I want you to read and come. And when it comes, okay, what did you understand? Completely new material. He's asking us questions, right? And we were forced to really sit with the author of the book or what and understand what he was trying to say. Then he would initiate discussion of what is this? How did you feel about it? What is your reaction and all that? So he always made us think for ourselves. It's like a Socratic method, like, ask questions, learn by learning that I don't know, let me know, and then mind opens up. So the education itself, I paid a lot of attention since 1985 because obviously a lot of the education now is taught in the schools is going to be out of whack because of the AI, and cognition itself will be taken over by the AGI pretty soon. But then your human experience, human interaction, appreciation of the something that's out there is going to be not just the cognition, but actually when the cognition is quiet, that's when you really appreciate a lot, right? I
When the cognition is quieter,
Yeah.
It's more clear.
Yes.
Appreciation is a different feeling than clarity.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like even split second phenomenon I'm very appreciative of.
Yeah.
But although I think appreciation does come with clarity as well.
Yeah. The thing is like this. Take, for example, you are eating a banana, right? And if you go on analysis, is this is too much carbs, too much sugar, too much I shouldn't be doing, and all that, your experience of the banana will be different, right? Compared to if you have no understanding of that and then you're hungry and you have the fruit and you're eating it at that time, no cognition is involved because you're hungry, you are eating, and you're experiencing the fruit itself. That fruit is the experience is all created by your neural networks, right? Your own internal, and then that is conveyed to you with the experience of that eating, the taste, and all that. And I can describe that myself, but what you feel is your own, and that is where the intuition works. What it is. The calmer the cognition is, the better that experience is. Clarity again, cognition, you know, but then experiences. This is actually very important for us to understand because inner matters are not really analytical. Inner matters are more like intuitive experience. That's why many people do not succeed in the meditation because they calculate how many minutes I've been meditating, how many times I'm chanting, all that. All that should really come down to experience this joyous, wonderful serenity that you feel when you really do the proper meditation. Many of the people don't do the proper thing, I know, but I guide them slowly. But you have to give them the room and they will grow into it. But then if you say, you could think all you want and then to meditate, that's like a defeating the purpose, right? Hello, Dennis. How are you? So we will talk about the education and also future of technology, and I will engage you in that, and then you can go to the conference and present these things. I'm sure you will have an edge. That way, Jacob.
Well, actually, you know what? Because we do a lot of AI applications. I'm trying to. One of my tasks is to finalize the marketing for our technology. And you know what? You may be very, very like an amazing person, a very qualified person, to perhaps help me think about that. So I may message you with or two new products, and if you have an opportunity to kind of
yeah, I do. I am engaged in new technology in a different way because I'm an informatician, right? So MBI. So some of the health products come for my review, and then I got to actually personalize medicine. That's the specialty I want to research on, and so I'm taking a lot of interest on how the whole thing is data science and the big data and neural networks. They're all going to come and do. And then philosophically, I don't depend on much of the machinery if I can help it. So I can leave it and be myself and go. That is one of the things which doesn't give me stress in this modern atmosphere, even though I have all the computers, everything that I use. They don't, overwhelm me. You see what I mean? Brain fog won't happen to me. And I do help people how to detox yourself, but at the same time, use the technology, for what it is intended. I think there is a small window where people become addicted to that, and then they are not aware of that is happening, and before long they become insomniac or anxious or depressed, or so many things I've seen with this. Uh, uh, Detox is not happening in many people deliberately. For me, it's like a close my eyes, I'm completely going to quietness. Right? So that's a blessing, I think. So when I open, I can perceive the nature as it is without really getting into all these routines that much. Even if I'm having a meeting, I'll be talking. Suddenly, I put my gaze out of the window, or just some flowers, whatever that are there in the room, and immediately I can switch from this occupation with all the data to something natural here and now, present. Okay. Suppose I see a rose, it's the red color. I do enjoy that. Okay. I don't want to approach it with a analytical comment, but just appreciate the how beautiful that is and all that. And that kind of breaks anybody can take, but then they don't have that kind of mind, probably. You know. See, the biggest machine that we have, the biggest neural network we are aping is our mind. So protecting and making that mind sharp and really alive is very important. But as I told you, that there is one part of yoga is called Raja Yoga, King of Yogas. What it is about, turning your own mind on itself and studying it. How does mind take the stimuli from outside? What does it make a reaction of? How does it accumulate? How does it see? Mind is so fast, like wind. It doesn't stop. But then with practice, with understanding, you will get to slow it down and bring it to one thought and stay with the one thought and go beyond one thought. That is that Raja Yoga I'm talking about. And that's one of the best systems for attention, concentration, all that. Um, I would recommend a book here, Jacob. It's called Flow, Flow. Okay, it's written by
who's it written by?
Michael, Russian name. Jake is a big Russian name. But the title is Flow, Flow.
I'm going to search it up right now.
Yeah, it is very, very good book, and I recommend it to some people. Uh, I should have it in my Kindle library. Let me see. That name is very difficult to remember, but I'll check it now.
A Hungarian American psychologist.
Yeah.
Mikhail.
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 Yeah. Russian name. That's it. That's
it's a very long last name.
Yeah. I could never remember that. I know, but I remember the title very easily, right? And so I don't have to. Yeah, there you see, it's like a big name. And he talks about this particular yoga I talked about in glowing terms. And but actually, he does not recommend that to me because I know the authentic yoga, so I understand what it is. Actually, that is actually very important asset for me, because I keep on opening up my mind. Like we talked about cobwebs and all that, and the clarity is very wonderful. You know, actually, the more you are clear and lighter in your mind and go to that beginner's mind so often, the healthier you would be. That's also another thing too. So if you take a cerebral activity, if you take the new perception of things coming up, the new perception of things coming up and how much you allot your mind to that, that's one determines your learning capacity and also your health too. Wonderful things that we have, and many people get into mechanical routines. That's why, like Supreme Court just says, they have to do something completely different, completely new, not a precedent. They have to go through so much of material, I believe, you know. And I don't know what they're doing now with artificial, but this was like later in the 90s, 20,000, these things happened. And at the time, they were reading from the books a lot of material every day, and they were very sharp. They are sharper than the lawyers who are coming there to argue the cases against them, and also they are sitting in the power of authority, so they have that advantage too. But then they were very sharp. See, I was in geriatrics, Jacob, and right in the beginning of the career, 83, 85, I was in geriatrics in Chicago, right? And I saw a lot of demented patients, and I just came into the country. So it kind of really bothered me to see such frail, old, just existing, but don't know anything. Their personalities are gone, and the families are really upset about it and all that. So that was shock to me, right? To see people, I never saw people, so many people like that, you know. Then as there were old people, they died and all that, but then not this many people in that dementia. Then I wondered why these people are demented. Well, see, what it is some of those people were reading, wisdom, scriptures, and all those very tough mental activities at the end of life, because the last 25 years of life you are supposed to do that according to the ancient traditions and all that. So that becomes a automatic habit. What they do is they don't go out sleep. They just pick up one of those books and then they go on to singing about it, discussing about it, understanding. So there is a uh, group meetings they call satsang. Satsang means that you are. I put the title on the Wisdom app too. Few of the friends, not with any commercial thing or anything, but they just gather together and explore truth in any matter, right? So that means you cannot go and say I'm an expert, I'm going to assert this. That's for the science, but not for the inner matters. They don't accept you. So they say, I'm going to pose a question, you answer it from what you know, and from or not what you know, but what you feel right now. You see, that kind of thing is very important. You know?
Sorry, Dr. Rao.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone and it swiped to the left.
So that is a very important habit people should have, that expose themselves to new horizons, new perspectives, completely different from what we have learned. And if we do that, our minds will be very sharp.
You know what's interesting? It's almost like a form of discipline, but not a habitual discipline. It's more of an exploratory discipline.
Yeah,
which feels like it has a different flavor to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Discipline in the sense of learning, not conforming. Other discipline we talk about is okay, you straighten up, you go sit down, other that is conforming. But in the here, discipline is learning, keeping our mind in the not knowing mode and reaching out for the new material with a beginner's mind. One of the worries about learning is now that we have so many things done easily by the AI, would people be working so hard with their minds, like a calculator when they first came. A lot of people were able to remember the four numbers and do the math for money, and a lot of things they were able to do that. But after this calculator came, they lost that ability to do that. I think it's going to happen much bigger scale with the AI doing everything. Only the people who are working with those and will be there, but then the ones who enjoy the benefits of the AI probably tend to lose some of this. How you can do it? By being yourself, Jacob. You want to know?
I would like to know, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how often you sit down with your thought?
Not often, Dr. Rao. Not often at all.
You let it run by itself, right? Most of the time. That's what normally all people do.
Most of the time, when I think is either when I go to sleep or right when I wake up, and then the rest of the day is action. And I feel like this is because I've been disciplined into a more performance type of behavior instead of an introspective behavior. But my best friend Philip recently, he said, "Hey Jacob, I've really been enjoying urge surfing. Notice the cognitive and emotional urge to move your body and identify the exact boundaries of that. And before you move, take a breath, analyze the emotion or the cognition for kind of impetus, and then decide. Not in emotional reaction, but in a logical response to the internal stimulus, and then decide whether you want to do it or not, or which form you want to express it in."
Yeah, at least he's trying to work with that a little bit, but still it is cognition. What I am saying is pay attention to that. What it is, can you be consciously thinking only at the time when it is needed? It could be brainstorming, it could be creative, whatever, right? But then be in your, what is natural is our serenity, our silence. See, people think I am going to reach silence after I stopped my mind. No, actually, your original nature is silence. And then speech comes out of the silence. So go back to the silence, and that is very refreshing. You know, we are talking, we are in a meeting, we are posing questions, we are stimulating each other's mind and all that. Okay. But then what we talked naturally from our hearts, and then we went out of this, and you may think about what was that question he was asking, what was the answer he was saying, and all that. That's all okay. That also stimulates your mind. But then you got to choose when you say, that's it, I'm stopping. How you do that is, suppose you meet somebody else from after me, and he is bringing something completely different topic. You got to be that attentive to that. That way, this what we talked about all that will not come on there unless it is indicated. So you are not carrying all the dirt. It's already over, but you will carry that. So learn to be in silence every day, and then use the thought consciously. So how you can start is, don't force yourself, but when you get up in the morning, and just be aware of your surroundings, what's going on, how much light is there in this room, all those things. Don't analyze, just be aware of what is going on. What is the life going on around you? It could be pets, it could be your family, it could be somebody out there on the road, or the birds and all those things, right? Appreciate that life a little bit, and then don't analyze them. You know, oh, they are chirping very, very fast, or their cows are crowing. Or, like, don't do that. Just be with whatever it is going on. Just a few seconds is good enough in the beginning. And as you go, and you will discover, oh yeah, from my silence, there is a I thought, we call it, that is projecting itself, and I'm holding on to it, and the rest of the day goes off. And the nature of this is, the more you do that with that I thought, the faster it becomes. You see, that's why in meditation, when you turn inward, you kind of slow it first, and then identify the negativity, eliminate the negativity, and then go beyond even one thought. It's very difficult to come to one thought only, but then to go beyond that one thought into complete absorption of what you really are. Actually, there's a statement, I don't know where you heard it from. Silence is the mother of speech.
You give me the feeling of enlightenment, Dr. Al.
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it. I feel good right now.
yeah, it's enlightenment because it is enlightening us from a new perspective. That's all, you know. But there are deeper meanings about enlightenment. That's okay. But then this one, like, we are enlightened about something. Because previously I used to think not like that. I never understood that in the beginning. But then later on, when I experienced the silence, and now I am in silence most of the day. And when I want to do my work, do all those things, then I use my speech. But then the blessing is getting back to the silence. And that is a very, very good feeling because we see when we are very, very happy, when we are spontaneously looking at something that pleases us and all that, we are kind of silent with it, you know. And then we go into expression of it, we may do language. But basically, silence is the mother of speech. Remember that, and then you will go into silence most of the time.
I've actually been really silent recently. I used a quote by Martin Luther King, but you know what? I think it was Nelson Mandela. I think I was inaccurate with the individual. Nelson Mandela's father, he was always the last person to speak in a meeting, and he waited for everyone else to speak.
That's what I do. That's exactly what I do in meetings.
See, and I started applying the same thing, and it's interesting to see like the anxiety of the individuals who speak first, and then they're waiting for they're like, we know that this guy's been silent, and now we're waiting for his response. But when we're able to intake every single piece of data, we're able to give them like clarified response, right?
Yeah. That's what I do. I kind of allow those people to express their opinion because we come with an agenda, right? Medical meeting, something has to be accomplished, like we have to pass some resolution or order something, right? Then some parochial people will be there. They want their way, and the other people are there. So if I'm going to be leading that meeting, and I'll usually be the last to speak. There's other thing too. What happens with that is they feel like they were allowed to speak. And the people who don't have the urge to speak, they can stay till the end.
Because they're choosing.
Yeah.
It's not that somebody else allowed them to go in line.
Exactly.
Here's your number in your queue.
Exactly.
It's that you chose when to engage at that moment.
Yeah.
I was thinking of another thing, but I forget it. I'm going to review the replay because I don't know, I find this moment and conversation very inspirational. But yes, I forget some of my thoughts that I was just thinking.
That's okay. But then this, silence is not just keeping shut, but not having this desire to speak. Then we can be more silent for number of hours, number of times like that. Some people actually practice this. They call, in Sanskrit, it's called Mauna Vrata. That means they take a, like an oath that I will not be speaking this day, every Saturday, for example. and they may write something on the paper, but then they go back into that and stay in that silence. And the more I understood, the more I developed that silence, maybe, or I was developed into the going to the natural state. That helped me a lot.
I wonder if it works the same with um, physical movement.
Yeah.
It's like if an individual choose to
oh boy,
and meditate the entire day,
yeah.
would their other 6 days be more concisely active?
Oh, Jacob, you touched a very big point. In yoga, there is a saying called Sthira Sukham Asana. Sthira means stable. Sukha means comfortable. Asana means posture.
In Russian and Ukrainian, sukha means bitch.
That's funny. Yeah, I never heard that. But then this is Sanskrit, right? So you take any posture comfortably, and then you meditate. That's what it is, right? All these other physical yoga and all these people made it. And there's something deeper I will tell you on this. If you have steadiness.
Rao, before we go, Dr. Rao, pardon me.
That's good.
Before we go deeper, my little brother, who I only see every 6 months, he actually just asked a question.
Yeah.
And I would really like to propose it to you.
Sure.
We're building a foosball table. His question was, what was your question? Do you know what nirvana is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how do you reach nirvana?
Well, nirvana is like a epitome of the climax of these practices, where people. Are you there, Jacob? You disappeared. Yeah, there you are. So,
sorry, we touched the screen. Please,
okay.
Please.
Yeah, nirvana is like realizing who you really are, not this body and mind, but that spark of life, or that is the conscious being. And without that, there's the awareness. If it is not there, your body and mind are not animated, and that is the fundamental thing. Now you got to stop all process of mind to really feel that. Okay. Then you see in yoga, second sentence of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra.
What does it mean that you need to start every process of mind to feel that? What does that mean?
No. Mind has to cease chattering, or all that. That noise has to go down completely. And when you achieve that kind of silence, then you feel your true nature.
So how is one able to achieve that type of silence? Can I say, go ahead. So from my understanding, I don't remember exactly where it's from. It's like Cambodia or Thailand or possibly even India. It's monks who try to find nirvana, and the way that they do it is through a ritual of like eating only way you can find in the forest stones. Basically, it's a death ritual. At the end of the day, nirvana is death.
Yeah, I mean, extreme people do that, but you see what we are lucky as moderns. What it took a long time for people like Buddha and other people, now we have the knowledge about it, but it's not just the knowledge, it's the experience that's important. Like, for example, I was talking about silence in the mind. That is something somebody like me, a modern doctor, and I can experience that. I don't have to have any validation of anybody. It's something that I experience. And my patients also do that with training, So that is possible. So what it is like Jacob was saying, he's doing stuff all the time. No time for reflection, no time for turning inward. That's what we need to do. We need to take some time off, especially in information age. What do you do in the morning after you get up, and just before you go to sleep? If you can cultivate this practice of silencing your mind, it will come to you after a few years. Like that.
So, quick question: Are you like religious of any sort, like spiritual or anything?
No, religious is different. Spiritual is different. Religious is kind of following somebody's instructions and then just believing. I'm like a knowledge how you can enlighten yourself with studying and knowing. I don't follow anybody that way.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
With you with a lot of stuff. I
Yeah.
also am very spiritual.
Yeah.
Preferably don't want to follow
Yeah.
a certain one particular. Yeah.
I studied most of these people's saying and uttering, but basically they all talk about the same thing at the end. Why do I have to identify myself with one particular sect? I don't like that. So that's why I'm like a world citizen. I am one human being, and that's why I do it. But I don't really follow the somebody like he's achieved and I'm his slave. And I also treat all my everybody is like equal to me, and they can also do it if they want to do it. Okay, so there is nothing mysterious about these things. It's only people fall into that weakness and then follow somebody, but actually we all have that intelligence to question, but you have to do the work with them. Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Dr. Al? It's like some people, they get so confident and like selfishly visionary that they're like, hey, you have to follow me.
Yeah.
I think those are interesting. Yeah. So what's actually interesting is that I am somewhat religious. I'm Christian. I follow the Bible, and I'm actually, if you were to classify me in a certain group, I actually study with Jehovah Witnesses.
Yeah.
Which everyone's like, oh, this, that. And if you ever saw me, so I have a lot of tattoos. I have tattoos on my neck, on my hands, and it's just a lot of people would assume certain things like, oh, this person's been to jail maybe, or something like that. And so these people saw me and they say, hey, look, you're awesome. Like, come join us. Let's do like some party. Let's learn about like spirituality and God. So I do study with these people because they're very accepting of me, but I don't fully back everything they say. And I also have ideologies that say like Buddhist kind of things as well as
I do
like a lot of things. So I am very open to interpretation to everything. So
yeah.
But it's hard to find like an accepting group because sometimes like let's say if I were to go to a certain place or even like Japan, right? They look at me and they're like, okay, this person's troubled one. Associate with them or something.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, I learned very early, fortunate for me, I believe, that a true teacher or guru will help you to think for yourself, to discover for yourself. And then he will not make you a slave, even if he is superior in teaching. So that's my style. I don't want to really be making anybody be dominated or enslaved. It's more like a look at this, you can do this, you can investigate, you can find out for yourself, and you don't have to see the belief, all that following stupefies our mind, our ability to think clearly, investigation wise, so we may not have many people follow in the sense, but then that's okay, because if you are willing to seek inner matters by yourself, okay, I'm going to be there because I have done so. That is like anything that we do, right? Best practices, then we teach them. But doesn't mean we have to be on the pedestal. See, that's all selfish when you do something like that to people. Let them grow. Let them discover. Let them find out. That's my style.
I've been trying to implement that too.
That's good because we are all equal at the core.
Yeah, I used to be, I didn't believe, I used to be basically an atheist, and then as of recent, I started to become a little bit more spiritual in my path. So I could, by the way, if you can pull up the pants, please.
See, but what it is as a physician, I saw many patients dying at the last moment I was there. The stark difference from the time they were one moment before they were dying, and the next moment. No. But you can see the spark goes out of the eyes. See that light, life, and so that is what is divine, because it's not anything outward, So a lot of people play with this, but they don't know really their own experience. That's what they should do first before telling anybody else.
I know two guys who are very, very faithful in the Christian Bible, and the third best friend was didn't believe in anything, and he was dying. And on his deathbed, they were telling him like, "Hey, look, listen, accept Jesus, and like this will happen." And he's like, he was very skeptical. He's like, "Okay, I don't know, I'll try." And so he ended up dying. And those guys afterwards, they actually recanted. They were saying, "Hey, look, listen, I felt like I was forcing something onto him."
Yes.
On his hour of need, yeah. Yes. And so they actually left the church, and they were like, we were like forcing it onto him, and we feel bad, and this was our best friend, and we should have allowed him to make his decision. And I fully agree with that as well. Dr. Mel, do you remember when you said the true measure of a doctor is the results of your patient? Yeah. Like that's exactly it. Yeah. They followed the protocol, but they didn't bring results to the patient. Exactly. He still did not find solace in his last moment. Yeah. But if they took him more, he was his best friends. He just tried it, but he knew in his deep heart that wasn't him. But if they tried a more human approach, saying like, look, let's just talk about our feelings and our thoughts, and we don't have to convince. That is make assumptions. You see, even if what do you think about this story? Yeah, even if ancient wisdom, if you take it, that's what I deeply studied, more like a scientist. What happened was, initially they started with these rituals, belief, and there is a God out there and all that, right? But later on, as they learned and they understood, that became knowledge thing, right? At the end of it, and then that knowledge tells people everybody has to work on their interior by themselves. We can only aid and show them the path. It's like we can throw the light on the path that they can go, but you cannot prescribe what the path and all that is. That's what the religions do. They forcibly make us do these things, even though innate, like that friend, he knows by instinct that's not what he is, and he's posting on something on the dying friend. That is really true. That they do it systematic. That's why all these organized religions, they have failed. Look at all the scandals that we see everywhere, right? They will be exploiting these people instead of, see, suppose you are a liberated person, Jacob, then you don't have to exploit somebody. You are happy with yourself, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like I actually, we had a conversation about this recently. It's like the individuals who try to compare themselves, is they're feeling like they're lacking a person. That's why they have to bring it up. That hey, like this particular comparison. If we were focused on actually getting better altogether, then the conversation would actually take a different approach. It would say, hey, I find an improvement, and I believe that this could be implemented in this sort of way, right? And we present the data to the individual instead of like playing the comparison game. Yeah, but the thing is, each one is individual experience, so they have to go through their own path. So that's where the other religions butcher them, because they say you cannot do this, you have to do this, otherwise you go to hell or whatever. They threaten all over, not just Christians, other religions also like that. They will say you will go to heaven. Who saw the heaven and who saw the hell? All those things that are there. So I prefer the knowledge path, Jacob, where we can explore, we can investigate, we can turn inward. And then that really gives out of that a peace and serenity and this unallowed joy that happens whenever you discover things. And then that works very well. And then we are independent. We are not slave to anybody. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. All right. I'm very happy that I talked to you guys today. And I'm really glad that you met my brother. Yeah. This is one of my. We're building a foosball table in our garage, and my little brother has been my younger, better looking, a larger penis brother. So I asked him. I'm like, because every time he introduces me, he introduced me as little brother. I'm like, if you can, maybe if there's a better term, like I said, younger, if you can say younger brother. But every time he introduces me, especially in front of women, he says, "Hey, this is my little brother." He likes to tap me on my head. And he has like this, like, yeah, you do. Yeah. Anyway, what I'm learning, Dr. Rao, is the next time I'm gonna say, "This is my younger, better looking, larger penis brother."
Okay, I'll see you guys after beyond 7 o'clock. I'll see you then. Okay.
Nice to see you, Dr. Al.
Okay.
Happy New Year. It's really Happy New Year. Nice to see you. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.